Today's video is on the LCL Enterprise from 1982, I seem to recall these were, because the earlier version in 1981 was the LCL Economy. The difference is you get a green display on this one and you get a red display on the other. This has come in a box of stuff that I bought once, and as you can see it is filthy. So I will just pause the video whilst I apply some foam cleanser. Well, that's a little bit better, but we'll run it through the company dishwasher, and not with the innards in, but as a case. Now it's got a lot of wear on this. You can see the silver paints coming away and revealing black underneath around the channel selector knob there. So it's definitely a high mileage set. Now these are 5-pin DIN, and I've prepared a 5-pin DIN microphone for it. It's a standard microphone. We use these metal high quality plugs. So by the time we buy them by the 100, the gold plated pins, we may as well, because those plastic ones are awful. Pin out for the microphone, I will just tell you, is pin 3 is transmit, pin 1 is audio, and pin 2 is screen. And of course that's the number ordered as shown on the plug, because from left to right it's 1, 4, 2, 5, 3. You need to look up your DIN plugs if you're not aware of that. The reason being there were only pins 1, 2 and 3 when it was mono, and then when stereo came out you ended up with these 5-pin plugs, so 4 and 5 got shoved in between. So that's the pin out. You don't use the receive wire on this radio. What I've done is I've dug out the circuit diagram, which handily came with the instruction book originally, and I've gone over this with the highlighter, and just to make it easier I've coloured in the transmit ones with red, the receive ones with green, and the general ones like the VCO in a colour other than green or red. The only presets in there are low power and deviation, because it obviously doesn't have a meter on the front. So we'll come to that. The specification says that the receive is better than 0.4 microvolts for 10 decibels signal to noise. So we'll see if it is. And there we have the circuit diagram also, which is part of the instruction book. So I'm just going to open it up while we're still on this camera in Mr. Chippy's workshop. Now this is quite a funny case arrangement, as in funny peculiar. So you've got the U sleeve, and then you've got what's left, which is that. So I will just unsolder the speaker. And I'll actually unscrew the speaker from the case, because I say we're going to run that through the company dishwasher. So inside this very tired looking radio, it's not in too bad condition. It doesn't look like it's been screwdrivered to death. I can't see any broken cores. The switch on the back is for high-low power, and it does have an extension speaker socket as well. Made in Hong Kong. So there we go. So we'll go over to my bench now and get on with the electronics. So now we're on my bench. To make this more fun, I'm going to switch this on for the first time, and the front and knobs have been through the company dishwasher, if that makes any improvement, but it certainly gets rid of the mouse and spider mess. So with our prepared microphone, we'll plug that in. The power supply is current limited at 1.8 amps. So here we go. And it's come on and it says channel 40. I've also redone the power lead. It felt very weak as it went into the grommet at the back of the radio, and the fuse holder was scruffy and the fuse inside was broken. So we always use 3 amp fuses. Perhaps we ought to use 2, but we use 3. Right, so looking at our diagram, I will just flick this into transmit. In fact, I'll switch to, I've got the other camera switched on, so if I can just press the right picture button on the console, I think it's that one. Well, that's the instrument. Aha, there we are. So, can I find a black trimming tool? No. Pause the video. So the first thing I discover is that this is mirror image. So if I could see through it like that, because we've got the transformer, the choke there, and I've got the choke there. So that's very kind of them to give us it that way on. Anyway, mirror image it is. So we will start here. So I'm going to transmit and let's see if it does. Not a lot. We may be in low power because that's 0.2 a watt. I'll just flick the low power switch. There we are. It's done more than the 3 watts. We can see we've got deflection there, which is full scale. It's actually spot on frequency. It's just off the camera there, 27.79125. And in fact, I can zoom that out. Just press the right buttons here. There we go, 27.79127. So if the radio needed to be put on frequency, the crystal trimmer is that one down there. So we're zooming on that camera and it's just there. You can see a little brass thing within the green trimmer, because the reference crystal for the synthesizer chip, the LC7137, is just there. So we're going to start off, we'll keep our back to front sheet again. So we'll switch it over to the 30 watt range. The radio is doing 3.5 watts, which is very good as it's come. And we start off here. Now that feels like it's going to break. And I haven't got a hairdryer here at the moment. Not that we have hairdryers for people here, but we have hairdryers for exactly what I'm about to do. So I'm going to use a soldering iron to warm up that coil. Just see if we can move across to the next one. A bit iffy as well. Whoa, 4.5 watts. Now those of you who've seen quite a few of these videos will see that it's quite rare we actually get 4 watts on modern sets, so this very budget radio from 1982 is quite a change to see the right kind of power developing. There we go, that's freed it off. And that's actually peak. We'll go to the next one. L11, L10. I look at an ammeter as well on the power supply. that is peak on there. It's drawing 1.56 amps. We'll go over to the yellow tool, and I'll just move the radio so you can see me on those 3 coils there. So again, we're going to transmit. We've got a definite peak there. And definite peak there. Now it's dropping off slightly as it gets hot, and that's quite normal. And then finally, we've got one in that screening can, allegedly. May not be adjustable. I'll just pause the video and have a look. Yes, it was adjustable, and I had to use the black phosphor bronze tool to get down to that, though you'd be better off with a plastic one if you've got one that fits, and that's L16. So just working at this backwards, it's L16, L15, L14, L13, L12, 11 and L10. So that's going to be the VCO, so we're not going to touch that. We've got no setup instructions for the VCO. Sorry, it's the one with the wax in it just there. If we had to do the VCO because of a fault, I'd have to look up the pin out of the LC7137 and probably cross-reference it with a good service manual, such as used on the realistic TRC 1001, to monitor the appropriate pin and set up the VCO. But without that information, there's no point in upsetting it when it's working beautifully. Now the next thing on, because there aren't that many things because there's no meter, the next thing to do on this radio is the deviation for transmit. So we'll switch the test instrument to FM deviation, and if I get the oscillator out and switch that on and go into transmit, Mr. Chippy was last on this bench, and he was on UHF. So you can see we're about where, in fact we're exactly where we should want to be, 2.2 to 2.5. Now the deviation control on this radio, I'll just turn that off, is one of only 2 adjustments there are on the radio. We'll just come out a bit, and I think it's that one which you can see to the right, but I'll just check with my back to front sheet. Deviation, yeah, is that one. So I'll just do a quick whistle test. Wallow, wallow, and there we have the deviation. So I will just a fraction up. Wallow, wallow. So we've got a 2.5 peak there, and that's what we're looking for. So it's 2.2 to 2.5. And then the final thing to adjust on transmit is the low power. Well, you can see the preset there. So we'll switch the radio to low power with the switch at the back, and you'll see on the test meter, now we're looking at 3 watts full scale deflection. So that is 0.5 of a watt on the screen, and so we're looking, it's doing about 0.28. So we'd like to bring that up to the 0.4 it's supposed to be, because it is a useful feature, especially if you're in a convoy of cars and you don't want to blow each other's windows out. So there we are, that's brought that back up to 0.4 of a watt. So there we have it. In actual fact, when we come to work on this radio, it actually is in virtual perfect working order and just wanted a bit of realignment. So a radio in this kind of state, all those years old, all I've had to do is change the power lead, put a mic to it, and do a quick retune on transmit. So there you have it, the LCL Enterprise from 1982, and that concludes the transmit part of this video. So if you'd like to join me on the receive side of it, you're welcome there. Thank you for watching.